mic's a little bit fuzzy, I hear. Any better? Oh. Is it bad fuzzy or acceptable fuzzy? I do need a new microphone. Okay, I'll get a new microphone then for next class. Sorry about that. So today, like I mentioned on Monday, we are going to be working on Meshmixer. Alright, cool. Acceptable. We went a little bit over... Actually, no, we didn't. That was Make. We've gone through so many things this week so quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and have you download Meshmixer for right now, folks. I'll send you the link in the chat window, or I have the URL right here that you can type into your browser. You have it installed already? Alright, great. Head of the game. If you don't, that's okay as well, don't worry. I meant to post on Edmodo, but I completely forgot because I'm a space cadet. I'll go back to the link in just a second. When you download it, you'll notice that there are two installers for Windows. If you're using Windows 8 or above, you probably should download the 64-bit. Otherwise, download the 32-bit. So it didn't take me too long to download it, but I'm going to put your hands down. I do want you to raise your hand once you've gotten the installer downloaded, and right now raise your hand when you're installing the software. Sorry. You're updating it. Alright, if you have it, you can go ahead and raise your hand. If you're updating it, go ahead and raise your hand. I just want everybody to be about on the same page. Okay, great. You shouldn't need WinRAR. Okay. I was about to say. If you're just making it in, we're going to be using Meshmixer today. I think you'll really like this one. I'll send the download link one more time. It's also available on your screen. And I'm having everybody raise their hands once they've gotten the installer to start installing. That way I know about when we're good to proceed. You see a couple folks probably already have it installed, or some do, I know, but if you're on a Mac, you will click download Mac OS X. question, are you going to slice, chop, and or divide our poor T-Rex again? My answer is no, but only because we're going to do the same thing to an innocent little bunny rabbit. Ha 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 ha! Yes, it is. It's going to be the bunny. I don't know. It just has to be. That bunny's not going to know what hit it. I know, it's pretty dark, isn't it? Some of the stuff we can do in this program in its own right is kind of dark. But you'll see what I mean in a couple minutes here. I'm going to give you about one more minute. Hopefully you'll get caught up and we will proceed. The URL for what? The bunny? Yeah, I was going to say it's included in Meshmixer. So alright, I'm going to go ahead and move on. Yeah, that's basically right. And you will be using that button very soon. Yes, you would want to do that, Devin. So to those of you who don't know what Meshmixer is, it's a pretty cool tool that lets you combine different parts of 3D models together to make new ones. So it's not quite the same as a CAD software because it only, you have to use existing models, but there are some existing models already in the software. So don't worry, you'll see, in a second here. Meshmixer is simple to use, it's free, pretty robust for what it is, and it's already set up for several 3D printers. So here's one of the things we can do here. It looks like a duck rabbit thing was built, and that's only one of the tons of things that we are going to mess around with today. So I talked about that, already download it, go ahead and open it. I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. You will need to accept a license agreement, and then there might be a pop-up that says send data. Make sure you accept the agreement, and you can click no to the data collection. But what you'll see once you get through all of that stuff is a screen that looks like this. Okay, so import open 123D. It is very compatible with 123D design, and a couple of icons everywhere. Yeah, go ahead and open it up. But there's one big thing that's missing, and it's very subtle, you probably wouldn't notice it. There's no new button. There's only an import button. So remember, Meshmixer is a little bit different because you can't just create new models from anything. Sorry, hang on, I just got a weird email. Okay, cool. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, what I'm saying, I know, I trailed off there because I got that email. You can't create new models from nothing. This is not a CAD program where you start with, nothing and then can build and extrude. We actually have to import an existing model to begin messing around with Meshmixer. Like I said, though, there are some pre-built options, and so as a result, you want to hit accept. And so as a result, we're just going to start with clicking on import bunny. You can also find it in the file menu. You made the bunny blue? Yes, that's one of the things we are going to talk about soon. But this nice bunny pops up. Life is grand. We don't have to make anything. Life is easy. If you try to import the T-Rex from last class, it's like it goes inside the, it goes underneath the work plane. I'm pretty sure you can move it, but I'm not going to do that right now. Anyways, like I said, you actually combine existing models to create new ones. Import's basically new, but you have to start with something. So this is pretty creepy. This is one of the many things you can do. I mean, a lot of changing of the heads here. Duck rabbit, man rabbit. Can you change the color? Yes, you can. And I will go over that actually in a little bit. But yeah, there's a lot of creepy stuff that I'm going to be doing. A lot of weird skewing of my rabbit that'll make it look kind of creepy. So like I said, go ahead and click on the bunny to import it onto your work plane. And yes, this is perfect for Halloween. So before we can do anything fun, I am going to go over a couple options, which I'll show you as we get through messing around with it. The navigation is the same as it has been for 123D Design and Make. So right click and hold down is rotate, middle click, pan, scroll wheel, zoom in and out. Nothing new there. Very easy to remember, thankfully. But the most important part of the software is this menu along the left-hand side here. So we did discuss importing items, but I do want you to real quick click on import. I know we've already done it, but I want to show you something. What'll happen when you click on it, there'll be a pop-up that says append or replace. Append means that you are importing another model into what's already on your screen. Replace will replace everything that's on your screen with a new model. Now those aren't the two important parts. The most important thing I'm showing you here is this icon, or this checkbox, the flip ZY on import and export. Now, this is kind of a weird option. We haven't really had to deal with it so far, but the Autodesk, all the Autodesk softwares have a specific coordinate set, and in almost every other thing in the world, the Z-axis would be pointing out of the ground straight up, right? But for some reason in this software, the Y-axis is straight up. So if you download anything and try to import it in here, it might be sideways, or just in a weird direction. If you didn't make it in 123D, you'll want to click this. If you did make it in 123D Design, you won't need to worry about that. Is there a rotate button? There is. I'm still sort of a noob at this software as well. What I mean by make it in 123D is you can import stuff that you make in 123D Design into here. So if you make it in 123D Design and try to put it in Meshmixer, it'll be fine. You won't need to worry about changing any options here. But yeah. So don't click the box for now. I was just showing you you can click cancel out of that menu. So underneath that is a box called Meshmix. Something I'll go over later. Meshmixer, everything in Meshmixer by default is going to just be a mesh, meaning that it's just a skin. It's not a solid object. We can make it a solid object, I'll go over that later, but everything in here is going to just be a skin. It's basically hollow. And I'll show you how to not make it hollow in a minute here, but just keep that in mind. There's some finicky things you have to do, but all of these options are also hollow, but they're a lot of fun to mess around with, which I'll do very soon. The one underneath it, the select option, lets you select different parts of your object. It's a little bit tricky to use. I'll go over that again later. The next option, sculpt, is pretty cool. It lets you sort of shave parts off of your object or make them a little bit bigger, smaller. You can also paint your object with Sculpt. So I'll show you that in a minute. So don't worry about stamp. Just don't worry about it, you're never going to need it. Alright, where was I? Edit. Edit lets you change your model as a whole, including duplicating it and getting it ready to print. You'll also notice some similar options to what you saw in 123D Design. And then some new ones, but we'll worry about that when we get to it. We also have analysis, which acts very similar to... Alright, that's a very, very good question here. Is there an undo button? No. Let that sink in for a minute. The closest thing to the undo button is Control-Z for Windows users, or Command-Z, like Z, for Mac users. So just keep that in mind. A little tricky there, I know. But analysis just gives you all sorts of stuff about it. It lets you measure, gives you units, lots of stuff. The one underneath analysis is shaders. It just lets you see your object in a little bit different of a way. To use this, what you would do is click and drag over top of your rabbit. I think that it would be easiest to see everything with the default palette, which is this middle one. But you can make your rabbit look all sorts of different colors. I don't know why it doesn't like to do earth, but... we want to keep it on that silver for right now. We will be painting it a little bit later. There's also two options underneath that to export and to print it. It's basically when you're ready to print it, the export option just saves it as an STL file. The print option actually lets you set it up on your 3D printer. So it's pretty cool. And actually, if you zoom out right now, you'll see that we've basically already set it up on a 3D printer, but there's some more stuff we got to do a little bit later. So this would be a simulating on the MakerBot replicator too. So yeah, already done shaders. Alright, so let's go ahead and actually do something cool with this. We're going to go up to Meshmix and click on it. And what's cool about Meshmix is there's all sorts of different options here. So by default, primitives is chosen, but we're going to go over to arms and click on that. It's kind of a weird option. I don't know why they have it other than because it's awesome and you can do cool stuff with it. So what we're going to do, we're going to pick this first arm, we're going to click on it and drag it. Yes, you can make it as creepy as you want. In fact, I will be doing some creepy stuff here. Y'all will love it. It's very Halloween-y. So you can click and drag the arm on top of the rabbit. And what we'll see is something that looks like this. It's kind of very weird. Some kind of mutant thing here. All sorts of different stuff pops up once we do that. New window that says drag and drop will pop up. A bunch of stuff will pop up over the arm. But let's take a look at what some of this stuff does. Let's go ahead and increase the size. I think that's going to be very obvious what that's going to do. Buff backwards rabbit arm. Yeah. So size is a pretty cool feature, nothing too crazy. Now bend is kind of fun. How did I increase it? I clicked on size, which is on the upper left in the drag and drop panel, and I just increased it. I just clicked the slider to make the number go up. So bend changes some of the polygons in the arm. You kind of have to mess around with it a lot to see a big difference. But like, notice I'm making this rabbit completely unbuff. But let's see what happens if I put it up to like 11. Not good. We shouldn't do that. Oops, I did not mean to do that. Again, if you mess something up, Control Z for PC or Command Z for Mac. Offset will let you push your arm in or out of the side, of a rabbit's side here. I'm not going to do it. Let's check out bulge here. Ooh. Notice some weird stuff happens if you have too high of numbers on something. So let me see where we are here. Did size, bend, offset, moves it closer, farther away. Color is going to be later on because we have to do something special to color it. Bulge will bend some of the walls outwards. That's sort of what I was trying to do here. It didn't work out very well just given the geometry of the rabbit. It works better on some other. That's so creepy. Ugh, I didn't know it can go negative. Okay, good to know. No. Smooth R, or smoother, I don't know how to pronounce that, will make it so it'll round off. It'll sort of give fillets to all the edges to make it look a little bit nicer. Alright, see, it's really, really subtle. You can really only tell when I move it from 0 to 0.01, but it does make your object look a little bit smoother here. What else do I got here? Descale changes some of the scale of your part, but not all of it. It's kind of inconsistent on how it scales, so we're not going to really be using descale or S-fall off or tweaker. So don't worry about those for now. So as for the part itself, I showed you all the options in this box, but there's also some stuff that pops up on the... Okay, you're all fine. There's also some options that are on the object itself. So this triangle sort of deal here will let you make your arm bigger or smaller. This center crosshatch lets you move it wherever you want. And the sort of opaque circle around the center will let you rotate it. So let me zoom out. This one's kind of important to rotate because the fist, the thumb is in the wrong way, but we'll worry about that in just a second here. There's also a tiny little circle around the, it's sort of attached to the rotation circle. And if we click on it, some more options will pop up. What have you created? Yeah, there's some, it gets real weird real fast. Like, I'll show you, if you want a real treat, go ahead and click on the sculpt option and try to mess around with that. Now that is where it gets weird. In fact, I'll do it right now because I think it's going to be fun. Actually, no, I won't because I want to finish this first. But then I'll mess around and do something cool. So when you click on this little circle here, there's a couple more options. This triangle flag sort of option will rotate the object like taffy. So, really kind of gross. This other option here will let you rotate it in a different, along a different axis. So if you don't want it to be, you know, like going into your arm or into your bunny, you can move it, pull it out a little bit. I think those are the only two. I guess you can click on the center one for that one too. So what I'm going to do with this arm is I'm going to move it to the other side of the bunny. Why did I just do that? Gonna make it look not so weird. And voila. You have to hit accept once you're finished placing your object. You have to hit accept once you're finished placing your object. I'm going to say it one more time because you have to hit accept once you've finished creating your object. And there we are. One solid, super bulky arm. Making that look less weird is impossible. Yes, I know. And this is just an example project that I'm messing with because it's fun. So let me see something actually, because I had an issue with this last class. Nah, whoa, that got weird. Okay, so that's not going to work. Okay, good to know. So yes, once again, click accept. Now let's go ahead and add another arm to the other side. But if you look at this current arm, you'll notice that it is a right arm. The fist is on top. There is a way to make the fist not on top. So let's go ahead. I'm going to mess around with it to make it a normal size and yada yada yada. What you can do to flip your arm, there's an option that says flip. Oh, I forgot, you're supposed to flip it first. Alright, sorry, you gotta flip it first and then you gotta resize it. And then hit accept once you're done. So now I have a really wonky looking bunny, but it's pretty cool. Oh, you made a duck rabbit? Awesome. So if you haven't messed with Sculpt yet, I'm just going to, sorry, to show you how to, or show you what it does. Basically just files down a bunch of stuff on your object. There's all sorts of different options that you can do here. I wonder what option I had on earlier, because I had a really weird option that gave it like an elephant trunk. There we go. This is the fallout, or fall off rather, option, along with the drag brush. So you can do some weird stuff with it. Woo! Oh, it's like Bowser. So, I don't know, I'm very easily amused. I can mess around with this software for hours. So at this point you might have noticed that your rabbit's arms might be a different color than its body. How do you rotate? Are you trying to rotate an item? Like your arm or something? Or are you trying to rotate your view? Because to rotate your arm, there is, let me go back to, oh, your view is going to be right click. And hold down the right click. So these different colors are called groups. We've talked about groups before. It's basically the same thing we were doing before. Oh, you don't have a mouse? Mac, are you using a Mac? You probably are, right? Anyone know how to right click on Mac? Can anyone tell me? Because I have no idea. Just go ahead and type it out in the question box and I'll relay this newfound information. Like I'm asking, command click. See if that works out. Otherwise, there is a bunch of options next to view. Oops, I did not mean to do that. 2 fingers on your trackpad, then click it at the same time. But there's also a view option up here. You can't mess around with it too much though. It's not working. Well, what you can also do then, view, and then you can change around your views here. Well, that's not the view I wanted. Hang on one second. Let's see what happens. Well, that's not working either. There would ordinarily be like a zoom, pan, etc. Yeah, the best I can probably do without a mouse and it's not working using 2-finger click is recommend using a mouse with the software or using these terrible, terrible view options. This is atrocious. So I'm going to say for now, if you can't get it to work, just deal with this one view, and I'll modify your lesson to reflect that. All right. Oh, you got it? Sweet. Sweet. So these different colors are called groups. They're just collections of little triangles that are grouped together so they can be moved together, because triangles are the bulk of 3D models. So with that said, let's go ahead and click on select. There's a couple different ways that you can select. The first is literally double clicking every part that you want to be together. And that's for the entire model. The other thing you can do, if you would like to group sort of parts of objects, you can click once, or sorry, double click on one arm, and then from there you can actually paint. Paint your rabbit, sort of. Note that this is not actual paint, this is just selecting a group paint. You can choose to group them specifically like that. Yours isn't a bunny anymore. I'm not too surprised. That does happen quite a lot. I mean, I don't even have a bunny either. I have sort of like a jackalope. So this is the first 2 ways that you can group. We call this absolute selection because you're selecting a finite part of your mesh. There's also relative selection, meaning that you can cut certain parts. There's two ways to do this, also using the select tool. The first way is box select. So what you would do is click once on any solid part, and then click anywhere else, and then your select tool will work just like the line tool, where it will keep drawing until you've enclosed an object. Jackalope cannot describe your poor bunny. I mean, I'm not too surprised. I love seeing the cool stuff that y'all make. I mean, I got the Bowser bunny, so. That's one way to group using this method. The other way is called laser cut. I think that went over everyone's head because I don't think anyone's in my Raleigh lab that's here right now. Or, not, I don't mean that. I mean, that's been in my previous year's labs. What we're going to do is laser cut the bunny's tail off. So what we're going to do is just click somewhere on the work plane. Oops, I forgot to click select. That'll be helpful. And then hold down your mouse button, drag your cursor, and let go. If you do it right, your tail will turn orange. So I do want to warn you something about this. Yeah, the second, try that one more time. To do the laser cut, which we will need to do, make sure select is selected. And click and hold down your left click button and drag it over the base of the tail. You don't have to clear it or, no, you don't have to clear it or anything. How do you orange? That's just making, or saying that it's a group that I've selected. I've grouped it by, having select selected, holding down my left mouse button, and then slicing it across the tail. See, I told you, it gets really dark. It'll turn orange if you get it right. What I want you to do once you selected it now is to go to Edit. Actually, wait, hang on. I think I messed something up here. Alright, you go to Edit, but it's the Edit within the Select menu. So don't go down here, you're going to be going up here. And take your bunny to the vet. Yeah, it probably needs it at this point. A sphere with legs, arms, and heads all over. I can only imagine what y'all are doing. That sounds awesome. So we go to Edit, and then we'll go to Erase and Fill. And we'll see a whole bunch of options pop up here. We can refine the mesh to make more triangles, make it more precise. That doesn't do too much, but smooth actually doesn't in this case either. Scale does. Ugh, that's kind of gross. And then bulge. So you can sort of see how that reacts. And once it, how do you get the orange off? Hit accept. Well, I guess that didn't work. Go to a different option in the menu. But you can't make the orange a different color. But we most certainly have a very ragtag looking, not even probably a rabbit anymore. So I'm not going to worry about doing that. I'm not going to talk about that either. No vet can fix your bunny. You know what vet can fix the bunny? You, being the god of your rabbit. All you gotta do is, other than Control Z, that is a good, fair enough, just reopen it. Pretend it never happened. Alright, so I skipped a couple slides, that's okay. What I was talking about earlier, about your object being just a... Are you serious, cat? Stop it. She's batting at the blinds to get me to open them for her. Sorry. We've been talking about primitives, and we've been talking about, you know, hollow, and you've been talking about meshes, some crazy stuff here. But what I want you to notice, if you go into the Meshmix tab, you'll see a couple of different little icons right beside them. So the arms are sort of the hollow guy, primitives are solid, or sort of the solid square, or cube, sorry. Primitives and meshes, or sorry, solids and meshes are different in that meshes are just two-dimensional, and these primitives are three-dimensional. I believe when you import an object, it becomes a mesh by default. It's called Meshmixer. And everything that we've done so far is actually going to be a mesh too. So we can take a look here. The arms are not showing the same icon as these cubes are, as the primitives are. So solid objects, specifically the primitives that are in this program, use what's called constructive solid geometry to merge objects. My cat just ran into the window because there was a fly outside. I'm sorry. CSG is a fancy name for math performed on shapes. So if you guys remember from 1, 2, 3D design, there was that union, subtraction, and intersection thing that I didn't really go over. CSG takes these shapes and adds them, called union, subtracts them, called subtraction, or gets rid of everything except for the common parts, called intersection. So you can make some pretty complicated stuff with that. Can you cut the bunny's head off and change it to a human one? Is that possible? Well, Devin, let me show you. Bam! It's even in our lesson. How do you do it? What I would probably do, and something I meant to check out earlier, what I'd probably do is you're going to use select. Yeah, actually that'd probably be better than what I was going to do. I was going to do a really backwards way of using a cube. But yeah, you would use the select option. You'd probably want to do a laser cut. Oops, that just cleared it. Yep, there we go. You can laser cut it until it's all orange, and then you can hit the delete key, and it'll cut the rabbit's head off. And here we go. Look, you can see the that's hollow. That's really dark. But then from there, what you can do is go to primitives and then heads. Put this really complicated human head on it. This is really gross. This is creeping me out, dude. hard to get it perfect because it wants to snap. I wonder if we can do actually the snap button. Let's see. Sorry I'm getting off track here. I'm also kind of intrigued to figure out how to do this. I know there's a snap option. Where is it? Nope, I don't want to do that. No, I can't see y'all right now. Did you zoom in really intensely or something? I wish there was an easier way to... What is happening over here? Whoa! I don't know what I'm doing right now. This is awesome. I'm having fun. Yeah, this is some weird stuff. Change it to solid and put it on the head. Well, that just makes so much sense that it hurts. You have to change your view to make sure that it does it right. You have to change your view to only select the head. So I'd make it a solid... How do I do that without... There we go. Where'd my head go? Oh, there it is. This doesn't work out for me. Oh, it's because I'm on the butt. Why did it not become a solid? Oh, because I forgot to hit accept. Always gotta hit accept. There we go. You cut your bunny's head, but it still won't go into the hole. Alright. We gotta make it a solid. Ooh. Oh. How did I seal the neck? Alright, I'll show you how to do that. Oh my gosh, this is the creepiest thing ever. Alt-Shift left. Left. Oh. Alright, so what I did to seal the neck is another thing that I was going to go over. It's something I was going to go over in a little bit later, actually. But if we go into the Edit menu, there's an option called Make Solid. What am I naming this? Abomination. It looks like a creepy bobblehead. It really does. It's really weird. But if you go to Edit and then Make Solid, you'll have to hit Accept, and that will seal off the object and make it an actual solid, not just a hollow sort of deal. Well, I think that the undo and redo thing is, I think that's the same thing as Control-Z. But yeah, this is like a huge nightmare. And I was hoping that's what you meant, Brad. But let's see where I am now. I got really distracted by doing the head. Alright, painting! Now we can go over it. So, we have done the first step to being able to paint our object by making it a solid. It's still doing the body. What's doing the body? The angle I did it from was like this right here. And I used the laser to just cut it off right at the neck so I can only see the head and neck, yeah. But, alright, now we can paint. So paint's actually in a weird area. I'm gonna clear that selection. It's underneath sculpt. You'll need to change your brush to paint vertex. Still body. Just keep trying moving around your angles and make sure that you're using laser cut. Laser cut being the one where you select out somewhere and click and hold down. So if you can't get the head to work, it's not a big deal. You'll just have to do some working to figure it out, really. But alright, sorry about that. Sculpt, we're going to go to paint vertex and we're going to change our color. Oh, it's still white, no wonder. What? Of course it was working earlier and it's not working now. I promise you it worked earlier for me, but I'll just ignore that for now because it doesn't matter. Yeah, I had this issue earlier, except I thought the problem was that I was painting on the mesh. So this time I tried painting it on the solid itself, but it still didn't work out for me. So it did work the first time. Yeah, it does. Like, I don't know what's up with it. Whenever people are watching, that's only when it messes up. But you can paint it. This is very creepy. I don't know how you would paint it if that didn't work. But luckily 3D printers don't normally print color that you want. Unless you're lucky. So now let's go ahead and get it ready for printing. I don't know why you want to print this. But anyways, what you would do is go click on Analysis, and then go up to Inspector. You would throw it in your sister's room. Okay, yeah, I do like the whole terrorizing your siblings thing with it. I like that. I can see why you'd want to 3D print this then. Should we send it to a 3D printer? Don't worry about that just yet. I'll tell you more about that in a second. So you get to Analysis, and then Inspector. And what this does, it repairs any defects that may occur in your mesh. I don't have any defects in my mesh right now, but what would happen if you did, there would be this globe, this blue globe pointing out an error in the meshing. You can click on Auto Repair All if you have one of these, but it might get a little bit weird. You might want to manually repair them, but what you probably have on your screen is no errors because you haven't done anything too crazy. So we can click on Done. We've already made it a solid, so we have to make sure to A, fix any holes in the mesh, and B, make it a solid before we even think about 3D printing it. We have to make it a solid because it can't just print a hollow body. Alright. So once we have made it solid, we can theoretically print it if we had printers in our houses. So let's look at some of the options. The export option here, like I said earlier, just lets you save it as an STL file. You can mess around with it later. But you wouldn't be printing it by using the export button. Obviously, this print button is what we're looking for here. So what's cool about the software is that, oh look, now it turns green. Oh, it's because of the PLA, duh. Sorry. There's a bunch of printers that are programmed in, a bunch of 3D printers. The one by default is the MakerBot Replicator 2. But you can actually see how your object would look onto the 3D printer if this is one of the ones we had. Now, we don't have this kind. We have Polar, but I'm not sure if they have it in the printer's options. You can change the color it prints in, but this is only theoretically. In real life, it's not going to print any of these colors. Alright. Your Abomination looks awesome. I can only imagine, like, I love messing around with this. The next thing you need to do is make sure, before you print it, that you choose one of the files that has the word solid after it. I wouldn't want us to do this first option here, because that's just the shell. That's the mesh. I'm going to pick the third one because I think I messed up with the second one. So I'm going to pick the third one. And for something like this, for an object like this that has overhangs, we need to add supports to it. So what we can do, and actually, sorry, before I get into that, once you click the solid model, down here it'll say model repaired. Forgot to mention that. But we will need to add support, so we can click on that box there. It'll take just a second, but it will add support to make your model stable. And so from here I could even export it so that I could mess around with it later. And that should include your supports. But normally what we would do is click send to, and if you had a 3D printer, you could go from there. But getting close to the end of class here, there's a lot of stuff in this I haven't even gone over. But I hope you enjoyed this lesson. This is one of my favorite things we've done. Are these going to be part of the final product? No, the supports are temporary. They're there so they can be supported while they're printing, but they are a little bit flimsier than the rest of the print. So you can just tear them off. It's a good question. So that said, hitting the end of class here. Does anybody have any questions on any of this stuff we've done today? Other than, oh my gosh, it's so cool. Because I think it's really neat. So if you don't have any questions, you are free to leave for the night. I do appreciate you coming out today. I hope you enjoyed this. How do you seal the neck again? Give me 1 second. To seal the neck, what you would do, take care. To seal the neck, you would go to Edit, and make solid, and then accept. Oh, there's my paint. But alright, let me see if I can check yours without having to write a whole bunch of stuff. No, I almost had it. So again, if you need to go, you're more than welcome to. I'm just checking out. One of the options. Oh my gosh, that is so creepy. That is just so upsettingly creepy. Oh my gosh. How do you make it one group? What you can do is you can either box select. Yeah, this is like gonna haunt my dreams forever. What you could do, I can't really do it very easily on this. To make it one group, you would double click all the objects you want to be in your group, and then hit accept. You figured out how to paint it? Oh, there's a snap option. Okay. Never mind? Okay. Yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on with that, but I am going to head out since class time is over, but have fun with this. I know you will, and have a wonderful evening.